Morning, everyone. It's still morning, isn't it? Yeah. My name's Gunther Kostyra, and I work for Welsh Government. It's a division of Welsh Government called Value Wales, and I head up what we call our homegrown talent project. And I think Gary, Pedro, and Arma all refer to it at some stage during their presentations. And what we're trying to do within the public sector is to increase the number of public sector procurement professionals and also upskill the existing workforce. So that's again European money we've secured for all that, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on. I agree a lot with what the three previous speakers have said, because I've worked with them for quite a number of years, so I would agree with them, wouldn't I? But I hopefully I'll come at this at a slightly different angle. So I'll give you a bit of a background on my experience. I noticed that the presentation is entitled "View from the Top." Well, I wouldn't go with that one. I'll go with it as a view from someone who's spent the last 30 years in public sector procurement in one form or another, has made a reasonable living out of it, and has actually enjoyed it as well. So I'll try to sell to you on that basis. I can see there's a couple of colleagues in the audience from a public sector, so that they can confirm or deny what I tell you afterwards anyway. So, and the good news is I've got no PowerPoint either, so I'm fed up with doing PowerPoint presentations, so you're going to have to listen to me and not concentrate on the screen. Right, first off, public sector procurement. I won't go into define it too much, that's been done already, but we spend 4.3 billion per annum in Wales on public sector procurement. That's on external goods and services, stuff that we buy in from suppliers. 4.3 billion, that's roughly a third of the Welsh Government budget. So that's a hell of a lot of money. That's a lot of money that we can do good stuff with. And that's what I'm going to come at this from that angle. The 4.3 billion, incidentally, we can break it down into different spend areas, but all you need to know, it covers just about anything that you see in a public sector building. So I worked a lot of time in the NHS, so everything when you go to hospital, from your dressings to the cleaning mops, they're all secured through public sector procurement. The drugs that you get from the chemist or from the hospital, that's from public sector procurement. The roads that you see built around the place, that's public sector procurement. Any extensions on this building is public sector procurement. So that's the money that your taxpayers' money. That's what it's been spent on. So it's pretty important stuff. And I say we can make a big difference to Wales by the way that we spend that money. So anyway, I'll take this from a very personal perspective. I'm supposed to be talking about skills, so I'll start off with skills then. Last week I interviewed for 3 more trainees for our homegrown talent project. We've got, as part of this homegrown talent project, we've got 24 trainees across Wales. Gareth is going to be speaking after me, so Gareth can give you a view from as a trainee. We've been quite lucky actually. We've lost 4 of them. I might ask why that's lucky. Well, we lost 4 of them because they've during the course of this project they've actually got full-time employment in public sector procurement as a result of studying on this project. So we've been in the position now we've had to replace those people. So and we've had a particular shortage of people in North Wales. So we centred our efforts on North Wales, and last week we interviewed a few. And it looks like the good news is we're going to get some more trainees in North Wales very shortly, so that's a good thing. But when we're looking at the skills for these trainees, I wasn't looking for any technical skills really. I was looking for enthusiasm and commitment. Because if you're working in the public sector, and that's something that I certainly believe from the 30 years that I've been working in the public sector, you've got to have a bit of enthusiasm for what you're doing, and you've got to be committed to working for the people of Wales. And I think that is a big difference to working in the private sector. I think in the private sector, you're very much driven by bottom line. I think in the public sector, the people certainly that I've worked with, especially over the last 10, 15 years, have been driven by a desire to improve things for the people of Wales. And to me, that's the big difference between private and public sector procurement. So anyway, go back to the plot. If I just take you through a quick journey through my career, which hasn't been particularly exciting, but I've enjoyed it. I started. I think Pedro mentioned that you fall into public procurement. Well, yeah, I did. I had no idea what procurement was. when I left school, I was looking for a job, and I ended up in a job in the NHS. I started buying things. So I was charged with buying things for the organisation for which I was working, which included everything from stuff like stationery and printing materials through to small amounts of construction work. And I think the main focus of my job was to get things cheap. So if the engineer or the architect had got it at one price, I should get it cheaper because I was the procurement person. It was a pretty boring job, and I was soon ready to leave that, because I thought as a career just buying things cheap was not really an option for me. But luckily I stuck it out, and I moved on to contract management, and I moved on to buying things on a broader from a broader aspect for the NHS as a whole. And and during that time then I thought, well, this is getting a bit more interesting, because then if you think about the NHS in particular, the first thing you need to ensure is that you get the right goods at the right time. So if you're buying stuff for the NHS, you've got to be buying products or services of the right quality, and they've got to be there on time when they're needed for the patients. So that was the most important thing, not the price. It was the price. It was the quality and delivery issues that came to the fore, and that sort of thought made me think, well, this actually is a bit more interesting now, so I can really get into this. And about that time then I decided that I would get qualified, and I went through the exams for the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply, which does give you some technical skills in procurement, along the lines of contract management, some legal issues and various other things. So I would recommend CIPS if you're moving on from that, and it did help me, and it actually did enthuse me quite a lot. And I've actually been a member of CIPS for a long time now, and I am on the branch of the South Wales Committee, and I was a former chairman of the branch as well. So something that I've found particularly interesting, and also particularly useful in terms of personal development, because you get to organise events, and also from what Pedro was saying about making contacts, because if you go to the CIPS events, and you may have opportunities up here to do that with there is a North Wales branch, or a North Wales, is it Chester branch, that if you go to their events, that you can make some good contacts that way. So I would recommend that. So anyway, in the NHS, I was doing that for quite a while. I worked in 5 different hospitals as head of procurement. I ran contracts on a Wales basis for big things like pharmaceuticals and energy and clinical waste disposal and oxygen therapy, which is oxygen being supplied in patients' homes. All really interesting stuff, and stuff which made a big difference to people of Wales, because it was stuff that was being done for patients. So I really enjoyed my time in the NHS. But coming to the end of that as well, I thought, well, there's got to be a bit more to this as well. And the more stuff that I was doing, which was having an effect on communities, made me think, well, actually there's a bit more to public sector procurement than even just the price, quality, delivery angle. I thought there's a bit of a social, economic and environmental impact on this as well, which led me into thinking about doing something slightly different after 25 years in the NHS. So at that time then I thought, well, I was hungering for knowledge, so I did an MSc in procurement. And I think that opened up my mind a little bit. And you can do the MSc, I think, in Nottingham. And I did mine in Glamorgan University. And that did open up my mind into well, there's a lot more to public sector procurement than what I was doing. So from there, that spurred me on to apply for a job in Welsh Government, working on the policy side of things. And on the policy side of things in Welsh Government, it is all about sustainability. And it's all about underpinning everything we do in public sector procurement with the social, economic and environmental impacts. And that's the work I've been doing for the last 6 years. Is looking at how we build social, economic and environmental issues into public sector procurement. And I won't bore you with all that, because I could go on for another 2 hours on that one, on the work I've done over the last 6 years. But needless to say is that I've been very, very interested in the way that has gone over the years, and it's certainly kept my enthusiasm. And certainly over the last 6 years in particular, the people I've worked with in Welsh Government have been absolutely brilliant in putting the needs of the people of Wales first, and it's been a great experience. I've certainly enjoyed that, and it's led me into working with people like Gary and Dermot and Kerry, on things like the winning and tendering project. It's brought me into sessions like this, and I've seen some really great outcomes for Wales. I'll use one example, and I'll use this one because I know I'm in North Wales, but I'll use the South Wales example because this road was actually built not far from where I live, and I use the road fairly regularly. It's called the Church Village Bypass, and I think it's a good example of how you build social, economic and environmental impacts into public sector procurement. It was a £90 million project, partly funded through Europe, I think, and partly funded through Welsh Government. And the road was to bypass Church Village. Church Village, if you probably don't know it, but it's near Pontypridd in South Wales, and it was a pretty congested area, especially during rush hour. So the bypass was built to bypass Church Village to get to Cardiff and Bridgend without going through this little village. It was quite a big job because you had to build across farmland, which was a bit of an issue. So there were environmental impacts, but it was something which was really needed for the area. That £90 million, though, I think there was shock horror initially when the contract was first awarded, because it went to a UK contractor, Kostyra. So they're not a Welsh contractor; they're a UK contractor. But through our policy intervention, we made sure that the value of that road came to Wales in a lot of ways. So the way that we looked at it was that the road, 90 million being spent, Kostyra agreed to subcontract about 95% that to local contractors. So that was local employment, local wealth going locally. When they were building the road, they found a lot of old tyres had been stacked up there. But instead of disposing them to landfill and causing an environmental problem, they used that as the banking for the roads. So nothing went to landfill. So it was a great environmental save, as well saved about £1 million on the project as well. And the company worked with the local schools and local charities to sponsor various events to help the local communities as well. So that was a good example of how that money was spent in a way which actually benefited the people of Wales, and that was through the intervention of public procurement. It was the people in the local authority who took on Welsh Government policies on community benefits and applied them. And I thought that was the enthusiasm and commitment that we need across Wales. And I'm very glad to say that enthusiasm and commitment has been replicated in many other parts of Wales since. And it's beginning to be recognised as good practice. So anyway, I spent a bit of time then, sort of. So anyway, back to skills. During this period, I've gained a lot of skills through doing things like CIPS, through doing an MSc. I've done management qualifications, and they've all helped me. You know, they're all good skills. They'll give you technical skills. But I really think that the biggest thing that you need is enthusiasm to want to do the job, and a commitment to actually get stuck in. And I think that if you're working in the public sector, that's what you need. And I'm pretty certain that with all the trainees when we interviewed them, that was something that we tried to get rid of all of them. And that's and I hope that that now that they are being trained in all with all the formal training that they will show that enthusiasm and commitment in the future for the people of Wales. A couple of technical skills you might want to include, though, are things like project and programme management. Certainly working in Welsh Government, I found that I needed those technical skills, and I have taken Prince 2 and MSP training as well to supplement my skills on that side. So there are some technical skills there as well. But I think that the main thing is you need, once you're in there, you can pick up the skills that you need, but you need to want to be there in the first place. So I think that's probably it from me. I've gone as quickly as I can through it. So thank you very much.